What up, everybody? Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron. Oh. And good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope everybody has an exciting fourth plan, which that's going to be our question today. So get ready for a fourth related question as I wait for everybody to log in. Might as well have a little coffee, right? Hope everyone had a good weekend. I had an absolutely wonderful time in Portland, Oregon with the Jimmy Dore Show. 2 sold-out shows, amazing time. And we're 5 minutes early today. I'm just noticing that now, that we are 5 minutes early. I suppose. Good morning, Marcelo. How are you? The tour was amazing. The tour kicked ass and took names. And it pretty much ended this weekend in Portland, Oregon with the Jimmy Dore Show, which I could not think of a cooler way to end the month of June. And I was thinking about it, and I don't like to get all sentimental here, but but I think the month of June was the best touring month I've ever had so far in my career. It was just really freaking cool. And yeah. Angie, hi from Boston / Cape Cod. Well, good to see ya. My girlfriend's from Cape Cod, so we're trying to get up there at some point. We're trying to, I know Graham and I are trying to get there with the Progressive Comedy Tour next summer. So hopefully we'll see you in Boston / Cape Cod. Aloha! Speaking of Hawaii, that's another place we're trying to go. We're trying to get to Hawaii. Graham and I are trying to get to Hawaii pretty soon as well. It's 7:56 p.m. in Moscow, comrades. Happy day to all. Hello, Derek. Good to see you. Hello, Karen. Good morning to you. Good to see everybody. Thank you for being here. Once we get up to 30, we will start. And we're a little bit early today. Yeah. I have issues with my... Yeah, anyway, I don't want to get too... But I have these weird issues with my OBS. But I figured out exactly how to navigate through them, and I think what it is like my web camera is a little old, and I think I just have to get a new one. I think occasionally it just kind of goes to sleep and doesn't want to wake up because it's older. You can tell I'm not a tech person. By the way, I'm discussing this, by the way. I'm like, I think it just goes to sleep, and it's just tired. It's just tired. Hey, what's wrong? This equipment's failing. It's sleepy. You need to let it sleep more. It's tired. It's just tired. Good morning, Frederick. Once we get to 30, you guys know the drill. We will officially start, and I'm real excited about the question for today. It is a topical, time-sensitive one relating to what's going on in the world. Because tomorrow is July 4th, and that is the 4th of July here in the United States of America, and I hope that y'all have some fun plans. Derek says, Amazon is firing Whole Foods staff and charging higher fees to supplier. Oh man, send me an article about that. This is not surprising. Yeah, they're gonna ruin, it's so sad. Hi Marcia, how are you? I hope everything is going very well. Good to see everybody. And somebody let me know once we get to, because my thing, I watch it on like the main screen and it loads in slower. So you guys will know when we get to 30 before I do. So somebody let me know when we're there. Because yeah, it always says that I'm behind, and then it like doesn't populate until later. What's up, Soul Revel? Wolfster says, congrats on 12K plus subscribers. Thank you very much, Wolfster. I appreciate that very much. That means a lot, and yeah, it's nice to see this. Nice to see this happen. You know, thank you very much. I appreciate it. 28. We are on the bubble, you guys. Totally on the bubble. And we're early. We're at 30, and it is pretty much exactly 10 a.m. How cool is that? Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys tweet me articles, and we go through them together, and that's how we make this show. You guys have already been tweeting me some cool stuff, so keep it up. Keep tweeting me stuff. I'm going to go over to our Reddit subsection too. I forgot to have that up. I apologize. Boom. It's up now. Party. And, all right. So here's today's question. Today is, or tomorrow, excuse me. Tomorrow is the 4th of July, which is a holiday here in the United States where we celebrate our independence. We celebrate our independence. Now, if you're anything like me, you believe or entertain the notion that dissidence is the highest form of patriotism that there is. I do consider myself a patriot because I am a dissident. Some would argue a subversive because I firmly believe that as a society, we can do a hell of a lot better. I refuse to believe that this is the best we can do. I know we can do better. We have done better, by the way. We have done better in the past. We can do better than this. So I do believe that dissidence is the highest form of patriotism, which I believe I think that's a Thomas Jefferson quote, actually. So that being said, sometimes on the 4th of July, and this 4th of July is no different, I try to do something that has a little bit of a civic component to it. One of the things I did one year that I want to highlight, I was just going to the lake with my girlfriend at the time. Her family had this lake house, and we went to it, and damn, that is a loud siren. Can you guys hear that? Can you guys hear this siren? Can you guys, you probably can't, and I probably just ruined everything for no reason. But there was a really loud siren. I wanted to make the joke like, hey guys, that's my ride, I gotta go, show's over, but you guys could hear it? Okay, good. Now I don't feel so bad. I'm in my apartment. It's like outside. Some of you couldn't. All right, no siren. Damn it. All right, maybe it's just in my head. We never know. I've attended a lot of rock concerts in my life, and I feel like, sorry, I spilled a little bit of coffee there. I feel like eventually I'm just gonna start hearing stuff. I think I already do. I mean, I didn't. Yeah, that siren was real. Like I didn't hear that, but yeah, every now and again, like you just get that kind of phantom, like you think you hear something, but you totally didn't. I think it happens to people that are around a lot of loud music or something similar, and I've been around a lot of loud music in my life, and that has not changed. So, yeah, I think there's more of them. They're still going. Geesh, hopefully, wow, yeah. Wow, they're really going nuts. Okay. You definitely have to hear that. You definitely have to hear that. Yeah, you guys hear that. So, no, I hope everyone's okay. Yeah, I don't know that. Yeah, hopefully everything's. I mean, I'm assuming that's a fire. That would be my assumption. So, hopefully everyone's okay. Yes, definitely. That's got to be fire trucks. Hopefully everyone's okay. They sound like they are in your building. Yeah, right? They're not. But yeah, it does sound like it. Yeah, especially considering tomorrow's the 4th. I hope everything's okay. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe somebody had an accident with some fireworks. So, but I guess we'll see. So, anyway, getting back to dissidence being the greatest form of patriotism, in my humble opinion. Maybe some of you guys agree with that, maybe you don't. But I always try to have a little bit of a civic component on the 4th of July to the best of my ability. Now, usually I do something of leisure. And one year I went to my girlfriend at the time. We went to her family's lake house. It's just this lake in the middle of nowhere. Really, really fun place. You know, if you got booze and food and fireworks, it's a really, really fun place. And what I did was we sat by the lake, we went swimming, went out on the boat, and I read I read the book Civil Disobedience by Thoreau. I try to always read something of a civic nature whenever it's the 4th of July. This year, I'm probably going to read this book on capitalism, about the dangers of capitalism that was given to me on our last Progressive Comedy Tour. So, my question today, you guys, are there any particular 4th of Julys where you did something similar? Any 4th of Julys where you had a little bit of a civic component, or just did something really cool? We can take it the light approach. Like, what's something really cool you've done on the 4th of July? Have you ever done anything kind of in protest, or just had a really good time, or had an amazing discussion? Did you ever have a 4th of July where maybe you changed a family member's mind about something? Maybe you and your uncle had a really big heart-to-heart on what's going on. And I don't know why I picked uncle there. I just feel like that's sort of the cliche, right? Everybody has that racist uncle that ruins Thanksgiving, right? Like, that's the cliche. I have a racist uncle, you know. I mean, I grew up in Pennsylvania. I feel like it's inevitable. But anyway, so what are some of the things you guys have done? What are some, and you can take it the civic route if you have something cool to share. If you don't, that's totally okay too. Tomorrow, and what are your guys' plans for tomorrow? We can take this as kind of a broad, fun, open-ended question. If you got something really kind of civic and activist-y, or just booky to share, do so. If not, that's okay too. Don't be afraid to share. Maybe you just had a really good time at a barbecue. Maybe you met the love of your life. Maybe you read a poem and it really inspired somebody. Maybe you played some rock and roll music and it jarred some minds. Maybe you just spent it alone and just called people and caught up with some folks. I know people that do that on Christmas Day. They don't really like the winter holiday. They feel like it's just not a really positive thing. So they just call friends and stuff and family and catch on with everybody. So yeah, I'll turn it over to you guys. All right. Garden Gnome reminds me I gotta read Welcome to the Monkey House. Good, thank you. I do. I shot fireworks out of the back of the restaurant I worked at. That's awesome. I got married. 777 J Plum. That's awesome. I've only been politically active for a couple years, so not yet, Zach says. A. Mars went skydiving. That's pretty cool. Garden Gnome, one of your best friends' birthday is on the 4th. Dwayne, you also grew up in Pennsylvania. Love it. Xander, thank you for the live show in Portland, Ron. It was amazing. Thank you for coming to the live show in Portland. It was absolutely spectacular. I had so much fun both nights. They were amazing. And yeah, thank you. Lucy got some cat treats, and she says thank you to the lovely couple in Portland that gave me some cat treats for Lucy. That was very kind. Y'all know who you are. Lucy appreciates it very much. And yeah, she was stoked. Let's see. I was just going to eat a ton of ribs with my neighbor. Is that civic duty enough for the 4th of July? Sure. Yeah. Have a good time. I'm going to a couple picnics myself. I don't know what else is going to be there, but I'm going to a few picnics. One of my friends is having a shindig in Hollywood, and then I think there's something going on for my girlfriend's work, so we were just going to kind of bounce to a couple different things. And then we were thinking about maybe just going to the beach. You know, me and my girlfriend were thinking we're going to make it simple. We were thinking we're going to hit up a few picnics, say hi to some people, see some people, then maybe go to the beach and just chill out. I was just going to eat it. All right. Plan on working my 3rd side gig to get by. Chris, I'm sorry to hear that, man. That sucks. And yeah, capitalism sucks and the gig economy certainly sucks. And it really sucks that those are the only options we have. Let's see. Going over to my 93-year-old mother's house and having a little barbecue. Sounds nice. Always good family time. Then home to close all the windows and doors to keep my kitties from freaking out too much. Yeah, I wonder how loud it's going to be here. Yeah, Lucy doesn't really... Yeah, she's not really bothered by that stuff too much. So I guess I'm lucky in that regard. Let's see. Why in the name of all that is holy did the Pittsburgh NHL team call themselves the Penguins? It makes no sense, and Penguins are not athletic. Yes, but they can withstand cold, and they stick together, right? Like the Mighty Ducks. Quack. That's all I got. I have no idea why they're called the Penguins. Probably just for alliteration. Problem is now that everything is being called racist. Okay, I have no idea what that has to do with the question, but racism jumped the shark when Morrissey was called racist. Did you hear that he canceled his tour? I did not hear that Morrissey canceled his tour. I will say this: if he did, did he say why? Because I'd be surprised if he canceled the tour because of people calling him racist. I mean, my thoughts on Morrissey, and again, this is coming from someone who likes Morrissey's music. My thoughts on Morrissey is he's a very kind of metaphorical guy. He's a very poetic guy. And I think at times he does not choose his words carefully at all. And in an age of sound bites, he needs to do that. I mean, that's just like, and he'll bitch about it. And I understand where he's coming from. But it's like, dude, you're a celebrity. You're in the public spotlight. You got to know that you need to choose your words carefully. You know, and yeah, I don't think you actually meant to say something hateful about Chinese people. I don't think he intended it that way. But still, it wasn't a cool thing to say or an okay thing to say. And yeah, man, you got to choose your words a little more carefully. I'm sorry. Same with, what was that last, for instance? The last, for instance, where he got in trouble for the Kevin Spacey thing. Now, when you just take that quote by itself, and I know some people don't know what we're talking about, so I don't want to spend too much time on this, but, you know, Krillin, I appreciate your Super Chat contribution, so I'll give you my thoughts on it quick. But when you take that quote by itself, it does not look good. However, Morrissey's claim is that was he was saying a bunch of stuff, and that was just one aside in a bigger statement that he made. In which case, his intention could have been something completely different, right? Like if you just say, like, you get the idea. So, okay, so sounds Morrissey also jumped the shark. I have no idea. I don't know what this might be in reference to. I'm just going by what I was last cognizant of. So there might have been something that happened recently that I don't know about. So Chuck E. Cheese, let me know if there's something that I'm not aware of. But, you know, the Kevin Spacey thing, Morrissey claimed there was more in that interview than what he said, and they intentionally omitted it because it completely changed the meaning of what he said. And to my knowledge, they did not release those tapes. So the verdict's still out. He's claiming there's more. They're not releasing the tapes one way or the other. So it's like, well, if there's not more, wouldn't you want to just prove him wrong and release the tapes? So, yeah, there you go. And as far as Morrissey, you know, Morrissey has said some stuff that have been, you know, interpreted a certain way for years now. So, you know, this is nothing new. Do I think he's racist? I don't think so. I hope not. I really hope not, because I enjoy his music. And I honestly don't think he is. I think he's a guy that does not choose his words carefully, that can be very non-diplomatic when it's something he's passionate about, like animal rights or something like that. So, you know, we live in a soundbite world. But, you know, he doesn't get a pass. He's got to, you know, he's got to be a little more careful, I think. Now, the difference between all that is, as Rosenfeld points out, he's a brilliant lyricist, and I would agree with that. He is a brilliant lyricist. So glad to hear Lucy liked the food. Yes, thank you once again. She really appreciated it, and thank you very much. All right, so somehow we started on the 4th of July and ended on Morrissey. That's part of the fun of Get Your News On with Ron, you guys. That's part of the fun of Get Your News On with Ron. All right, I think Daniel summed it up better than I could. Daniel just says, this is nothing new indeed. He just wants to be eccentric and free thinks and gets himself in trouble at times. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. Daniel, I think I need to bring you to LA and hire you as a co-host, and then when I just go off on a ramble, you can be like, here, in one sentence, this is actually all Ron needed to say. He said it in way more than that. Guys, all right, a couple of you guys have been tweeting at me to talk about this. So this is how we're going to start today. I'm going to Google this because you guys have sent me different things at different times. But Rhode Island, basically Rhode Island... Over in Rhode Island, apparently... Well, let's see what's going on here first. Okay, here we go. All right, here's what's going on. Apparently some really shady, weird stuff is going on at... I don't like this article. Yeah, this article kind of sucks. All right, I wish I could have found something better on this, but I really didn't. If anyone has something better on what's going on in Rhode Island, please tweet it, because I think what I found kind of sucks. It's just really long, and they don't get to the point, and it's annoying. All right, but we'll try to get through this anyway. Rhode Island Democratic Party is under fire for conservative endorsements. So apparently people have been tweeting me saying that over in Rhode Island, they literally endorsed an alt-right candidate over a progressive. So let's see what's going on here. We're going to try to figure this out and unpack it, because the first I've heard of it is from people tweeting me stuff, just telling me that it's happening. I've not looked into it at all until right now. The Rhode Island Democratic Party is on the verge of splitting right up the middle. The Democratic Party and committee structure have recruited and endorsed a series of ultra-right-wing candidates, and some with criminal charges pending. The collection of endorsements of a pro-Trump candidate and a pro-life conservative has infuriated and mobilizes the progressive wing of the party. The Democratic Party, as well as district committees, have endorsed the following candidates, and the usually accessible Rhode Island Democratic State Chairman Joe McNamara isn't talking. McNamara is a close political ally of Speaker of the House Nick Metellio, who is feeling pressure in both his effort to hold on to the speakership and win re-election. Michael Earnhardt is challenging State Rep Moira Walsh, and he received the Democratic endorsement for House District 3 over the incumbent progressive Walsh. Earnhardt says he has been a Democrat, but did vote in the GOP presidential primary in order to support Donald Trump. I have been a registered Democrat all my life. In 2016, I disaffiliated so I could vote in the Republican primary, because I found both Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton to be not strong supporters of business. Hillary Clinton has ties to Wall Street, Walmart. How more big business can you get than that? And even that wasn't far right-wing enough for this person. Michael Earnhardt is to the right of Hillary Clinton. And the Rhode Island Democrats are supporting that Republican over the progressive incumbent. Over the incumbent. Where are the screams of sexism here from the Mick resistance? First of all, State Representative Moira Jane Welsh loses the endorsement to a pro-Trump Democrat. By the way, pro-Trump Democrat, that just means Republican, by the way. That means Republican. This guy is a right-wing Republican, and they want him over the progressive incumbent. There's more examples. Former State Representative John Carnival is the endorsed candidate for House District 13. He is currently facing 3 felony charges. Previously, when he was serving in the House, he was a strong supporter of Speaker of the House Nick Matalio, a fellow conservative Democrat. The Democrats are already conservative. So if you're to the right of the Democrats, you're a Republican. I mean, there's just no... Now you see what I mean when I say we have one party? Holly Taylor Coleman has been endorsed by Democratic House District Committee 5, and she is challenging State Representative Marcia Ranglin-Vassell. In 2016, Ranglin-Vassell shocked the political world when she defeated Metalio's majority leader, John DeSimone, in the Democratic primary, and then again in the general election when DeSimone failed writing candidacy. So here's what Coleman's all about. I am pro-life, among other things. That means I am opposed to abortion on demand. As regards public policy, I, like most Americans, believe we have to navigate this complex issue carefully. In fact, one of my primary commitments as a candidate is refusal of ideology in favor of principle, and refusal of culture wars in favor of reasoned conversation. Okay, so that's bullshit speak for I'm pro-life and my archaic religious views go above any type of common sense policy. And I'm going to support Trump's horrific immigration proposals now and indefinitely because I want to capitalize on people's fear of brown people. That's what that's bullshit speak for, by the way. That's what that's bullshit speak for. Reason, conversation, culture wars. Yeah, that's what that's bullshit speak for, if anyone wasn't sure. This is what the Democratic Party is supporting. These are the candidates, pro-lifers, members of the alt-right, Trump supporters, people that think Hillary Clinton isn't pro-business enough. That's what the Rhode Island Democratic Party is supporting. That's what the Democratic establishment is supporting. Now you see what we mean when we say the first priority of the Democratic Party is to squash progressive agendas and make the donors happy. That's their first priority. Their second priority is maybe beating a Republican, although what's the point in beating a Republican, when you offer no alternative? How are any of these candidates different from a Republican? They're not. They're not. Wow, Rhode Island. Oh, and by the way, this isn't the Midwest. This is Rhode Island. You know, the Democratic establishment loves to tell us that, oh, well, Cortez is dangerous because that couldn't win in the Midwest. Really? I was just in the Midwest. You know what I saw in Nashville, Tennessee? I saw a big group of union members cheering on an anti-war song. I'm on a comedy tour called the Progressive Comedy Tour. You know one of the first cities we sold out? Louisville, Kentucky. You know one of the first places, among the first places where DSA candidates started winning? My hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, also in the Midwest. You know who those DSA candidates beat? Some of the biggest Democratic establishment lackeys. They beat the Clinton family of Western Pennsylvania. The Costas. That's who they beat. The establishment of the establishment of the establishment. They went in there and they frickin' beat them. So yes, it can work in the Midwest because it's already working in the Midwest. They loved Bernie in the Midwest. They still do. So take your pretentious liberal elite geopolitical bullshit elsewhere. We ain't falling for it. And we're not falling for these shenanigans in Rhode Island either. We have one party. It's the money party. And it's time to either gut the Democratic Party and hijack it, which seems like a pretty unlikely feat, or we got to start a brand new party. That's what's got to happen. All right. And I lost my place on the timeline. So I guess everyone's just got to think about what I just said. Somebody sent me a cool article about, and they were first, so I want to make sure I get back to them. Sorry about this. By the way, there's apparently a way via OBS that I can show my screen to you guys. So I got to figure that out. First, I'm going to work on the background here. I'm going to get a curtain. Then I'm going to figure out a way. And I was originally just going to get a monitor, but I might not need to do that. I might be able to do it via OBS, which means it would look better anyway. So anyway, yeah, I'm working on that. All right. Here is a much lighter article. And this has to do with synthesizers. So we got a little bit of music news going on. I just gave this a retweet. And it was from Annette. Thank you, Annette. Hope you're on the stream today. Moog. They make synthesizers, you guys. Moog makes synthesizers. Moog warns that Trump trade tariffs pose a threat to its business. Moog is asking its customers to protest tariffs that may result in job losses. U.S. synth company Moog has warned that a 25% tariff on the import of Chinese goods brought in by President Trump could result in layoffs and the end of its instruments being made in the U.S. Okay. Although Moog builds all of its synths on U.S. soil in its North Carolina factory, it relies heavily on circuit boards from China. Well, it says that it sources circuit boards from U.S. suppliers it says that it sources circuit boards from U.S. suppliers wherever possible, paying up to 30% over the price of the same circuit boards made overseas. The majority of the raw components still come from China, and it will be unable to avoid the cost increase. In an email, the company warned these tariffs will immediately and drastically increase the cost of building its instruments, could result in layoffs at its factory, and in a worst-case scenario, force the company to move manufacturing overseas. We ask that you will support us by imploring our elected officials to recognize that these tariffs are seriously harmful to American businesses like Moog. Okay. Moog isn't the only U.S. business facing problems because of Trump's trade tariffs. Harley-Davidson announced it was moving some manufacturing overseas to avoid EU motorcycle tariffs brought on as a response to U.S. duties on steel and aluminum imports. General Motors also warned that proposed tariffs on foreign cars and parts could result in fewer cars being built on U.S. soil. So, all right. So this is a slippery one. This is kind of a slippery slope. The tariffs, you know, there's two sides to this, certainly. And the side I'm taking is I think this is just kind of corporate doublespeak. I think this is just, oh, we don't want to pay this extra. We don't want it to hurt our bottom line. So we might need to move jobs. We might need to shut down factories. We might need to move jobs. I don't think so. And again, like we would need hard numbers and stuff like that, but I don't think so. I think this is sort of just a corporate grab at wanting more NAFTA-like policies. Which aren't good, which does not benefit workers. We all know that. So, well, you know, well, I do not think Trump has the interests of the worker at heart either. In the case of these tariffs, you know, there is the other side to kind of produce more on our own soil, which benefits jobs domestically and is a good thing, and kind of removes the handouts to corporations around the world, which is really what NAFTA and stuff is about. So I have a feeling, and Moog, I'll say this, Moog, you need to find a solution where, you know, and I'm not saying Moog shouldn't be a profitable company. They should. They make instruments, and they should turn a profit, and they should, the people at the top should be able to make good livings, as should the people making the product. They are all entitled to making a good living. So I'm not trying to be totally unreasonable here, but Moog is a musical instrument maker, and I really do feel that those types of companies should kind of set an example of making sure the workers are taken care of first and foremost, and evolving the way they need to with any changes that may arise. They say that we use American-made boards whenever we can. Well, guess what? Now you're going to have to more, maybe. If the tariffs are going to be that high that it's really going to put you in a situation where you would have to raise the price. First of all, I doubt it. I doubt that's the situation, really. I doubt that it would come to the point. I'm sure there's other places where they could kind of cut costs here and there that wouldn't affect the wages of workers, wouldn't affect the price of the product. You know, they always try to scare you, oh, if we have to pay, and this isn't applying to Moog, this is looking big picture now. If we have to raise the wages of our workers, the price of your Big Mac's going to be $20. That's bullshit. When the price of beef goes up, the price of the Big Mac doesn't change. When the price of gasoline goes up, the price of the Big Mac doesn't change. Why not? Well, because they find other ways. They use they use cheaper paper towels or something. You know, I'm just, you know, that's what corporations do. They're not going to price themselves out of any market. The point being, you can give living wages. And I think in the case of Moog, no, there's other ways you can adapt to this. I think this is corporate speak for trying to justify cutting corners. And, you know, it's really easy. If you're a company, you know, when there's something like Trump derangement syndrome going on, which, as we talk about on this show, Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing. Trump denial syndrome, also a real thing. And they're both annoying. But, anyway, in an age of Trump derangement syndrome, if you could go and move a bunch of jobs overseas to cut corners for your corporation and to screw over American workers, but have Trump as a blame man, a lot of folks are going to give you a pass. Should they? Absolutely not. Neoliberalism's nothing new in the United States. It wasn't invented by Trump. We've had it for 40 years. That's the reality. Trump is something we've gotten to, not something that just fell out of nowhere. It's not like things were hunky-dory and then Trump got here. And I know I'm preaching to the choir. So I think that this is just an example of Trump derangement syndrome, and this is just the kind of MIC-resistant corporatocracy trying to blame Trump for neoliberal nonsense that's been going on for a long time. And instead of, paying a tariff, they want to say, oh, without NAFTA, without this, without these breaks for corporations all around the world, we might have to do this. No, you don't. I doubt it. Well, let me see what you guys are saying. If you do tariffs, you better make sure you have the industries at home you are putting tariffs on. I like the idea of Harley going to the EU to manufacture what they sell in Europe, and BMW needs to build here. Life is good. Okay. Let's see. There are 2 Moogs in the U.S., an aerospace and a music company, so confirmed Moo Music is out of Asheville. Yes, Moo Music is out of Asheville. Daniel says, couldn't agree more. Diana, I'm letting your ad play so you can make 2 more cents. Thank you. The price of a Big Mac is based on supply and demand. Let's see here. The CEO is going to get that bonus no matter what. Trump gets blamed for the sun coming up. Why would anybody blame somebody for that? I like the fact that the sun comes up. Who's blaming somebody for that? Trey, who is mad that the sun's coming up? Now Trump does not now. A fun little thing. Some people blame Trump for the sun coming up. Other people give Trump credit for the sun coming up. So we are living in an age of extremes. And sometimes when you're just sort of an outsider looking in, noticing how absurd all of this is, you know, people don't know what to make of you. I blame Trump for sunburn. I blame myself for sunburn. I still get them because I find I'm a ginger, so sunburn is something I've dealt with my entire life because I love the beach and I love the sun, but I hate sunscreen. I find it very uncomfortable, and I use it. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I don't use it, but sometimes I'm like, I don't need to reapply, and it's like, no, idiot, you need to reapply. I'm fine. No, you're not fine. You need to reapply. You are very fair-skinned. You need to reapply. One time in 8th grade, I went to a pool party, and I wanted to look cool by not wearing sunscreen. I'm like, I don't need that. I'm going to tan. And I got sun poisoning. That's what happened next. I got sun poisoning. Kim says, what's up, Kim? Good to see you. Can someone compile all the instances of Dem endorsing Republicans over Democrats and Republicans becoming Dems, etc.? It'll show the lack of sunlight between establishment Dems and Republicans. That's a great idea, Kim. That is an awesome idea. Let's see. Cool. All right, let's move on. So, Moog, I think you need to adapt and not screw your workers over. That's what I think. And, you know, if you do screw your workers over, you don't get to just blame Trump for that. That's ridiculous. And no, I don't like Trump. I just refuse to let Donald Trump strip me of my critical thinking skills. Or dislike of Trump strip me of my critical thinking skills. All right, this is from TJ. Let's go ahead and give this a Get Your News On with Ron retweet. Gudrun Berwitz, ever-loyal daughter of Nazi mastermind Heinrich Himmler, dies at 88. Okay. Gudrun Berwitz, the true believing daughter of Heinrich Himmler, the architect of the Holocaust and Nazi Germany's highest-ranking official after Adolf Hitler, died May 24th in or near Munich. She was 88 years old. Her death was first reported by the German newspaper Bild, which also confirmed that she had worked 2 years in West Germany's foreign intelligence agency. Miss Buritz, who was sometimes called a Nazi princess by supporters and detractors alike, remained unrepentant and loyal to her father to the end. Although she had visited a concentration camp, she denied the existence of the Holocaust. And in later years helped provide money and comfort to former Nazis convicted or suspected of war crimes. Wow. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with... I mean, I knew of her existence, but that's pretty much it. Okay. I don't really feel the need to go on about this person's story. Her father was a Nazi mastermind. She denied the Holocaust and stayed true to her father up until her death, and she's dead now. What else do you want to say about that? You know, I mean, I do not understand. I cannot wrap my head around people that deny the Holocaust. I think it is a truly disgusting point of view, and that's putting it mildly. I think it is, you know, the Holocaust and that period of time was one of the darkest moments in human history. In fact, it was arguably the darkest moment in human history. It was definitely among. And I will say this: Germany is an absolutely amazing place right now. It really is. And Germany is a country that they wear their wounds in a way that is truly admirable. They confront their history. They talk about it. They don't shy away from it. And they've really... it's just really admirable the way they confront that. And you know, I mean, I'm sure there's some, you know, certainly there's still neo-Nazis in Germany, of course, and then there's still, you know, there's neo-Nazis all around the world, and that's disgusting and terrible. But they confront it, and I'll say this too. Well, where I live in the United States, I think that when it comes to confronting your history, we could really learn a thing or two from Germany. The way that we respond to Native Americans and the way we still to this day treat Native Americans is absolutely disgusting, especially in comparison to the way Germany has, you know, I guess risen above, you know, their history and confronted it and learned from it. We've really not done that in the United States, which I think is really sad. And I wish that's something that's one of many, for instances, where we could really take a lesson or two from Germany. Another, for instance, healthcare. We could take a lesson from Germany there. Class division. We could take a lesson from Germany there. Certainly, there are rich people and poor people in Germany. Absolutely, that's true. But they also really take care of the poor a lot better in Germany. This is just one, for instance. In Berlin, for instance, they firmly believe that everybody should have access to the arts regardless of your ability to pay. So in a given venue, let's say you're going to the opera. Now, here in the United States, of course, we have really, really nice seats for a lot of money. And then, oh, the other seats are still a reasonable amount of money, but they're not quite as expensive, right? We go from relatively expensive to really freaking expensive. So you got to have a buck or two to enjoy certain forms of the arts here in the United States. You really do. You know, I mean, not everything. There's free shows and stuff like that, which is a great thing. And depending on where you're at, here in Los Angeles, you can see great entertainment every night of the week for free, just because there's an abundance of it. But you know, if you want to go to the opera or something like that, just trying to stick to example, you need some money. A lot of people can't do something like that. They don't have the means to do something like that. Over in Germany, that same opera, yes, there are very expensive seats, like front row seats. They're pretty expensive, right? But it goes down as you keep moving back. So those back row seats aren't also still pretty expensive, just not as expensive as the front row seats. Those back row seats are very cheap. They're like maybe €5 or something like that. Because they believe that everybody should have the right to enjoy the arts. And sometimes those seats aren't even bad. They're still good seats, right? They're just not, like, they're not front row. Front row costs a little more. Okay, that's, you know, that's the world we live in. That's okay. But everybody, regardless of your ability to pay, has access to the arts. Because the ticket price keeps going down to the point where it's pretty much affordable. You know, that's something we don't do in the U.S. That's something they do in Germany that I think is really cool, and that's just one for instance. Anyway, so, yeah, TJ, I'm not, you know, thanks for sharing that. I guess it's, I didn't know that person was still alive. But yeah, I mean, I guess there's a lot we can learn and talk about, and conversations can be spawned from that. I'll see what you guys are saying in the chat. Let's see. Balthazar says, Obama was the 4th sitting president to visit a reservation, which was Standing Rock, where he gave a speech about honoring our treaties with indigenous people. Then he screwed them. Fucked them. Yeah, he did. He most certainly did. And his response to Dapple was nothing short of disgusting. It was very sad. Marcus, how do we better promote the arts in America? Well, we could just do what Germany does. I think we could just copy off of Germany. TJ points out, I completely understand not wanting to finish it. I thought it was fascinating and disgusting how indifferent she was to it. Yeah, I mean, she followed her dad's footsteps. And, you know, yeah, it's absolutely disgusting. I mean, she could have taken the other route. She could have taken the route of, you know, what my family did was absolutely repulsive, and I'm going to dedicate my life to, you know, trying to heal those wounds the best I can. You know, she could have given to memorials or museums, or she could have been involved in some of the efforts in Germany. She could have done that, but instead she stayed true to her dad. So, but yeah, I see how it spawns a bigger discussion. So thank you for sharing it, TJ. Universal basic income, Chris points out, will promote the arts. Yes, it would, Chris. And that's a great idea. Or a great connection. We've talked about UBI before. I'm for it. You know what? We got to come up with a different name, though. UBI, you know, to the layperson just not paying a lot of attention, UBI sounds way too much like UTI, and I think that could make it a tougher sell. Not to be too nitpicky about semantics, but honestly, that's we got to come up with. Well, what could we call it instead? Monthly money, double M. Monthly money. Monthly money, double M. Who would vote against that? But UBI sounds a little bit like UTI. I feel like people, I feel like the propaganda campaign against it would be successful. But monthly money, you want monthly money? Foundation for living, that's a good one, Kimmy. But does it have the alliteration ring of monthly money? I think we got to call it monthly money. All right. Cappuccino Conservative shares this. This is an opinion piece from the New York Times. And they say, All right, so we're going to do this one, see what this opinion piece is all about. Cappuccino Conservative says, All right. Here's an opinion piece. Radical Democrats are pretty reasonable by Paul Krugman. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez upset primary victory has produced a huge amount of punditry about the supposed radicalization of the Democratic Party, how it's going to hurt our party, positions won't sell in the Midwest. We just talked about how much bullshit that is, by the way. This won't sell in the Midwest. Oh, you mean the area where they freaking love Bernie? The area where unions are still strong? The area where DSA candidates are seeing some victories? It won't sell there? Yeah, it won't sell there. You know, coastal elitism is part of the reason the Democrats are wiped out, right? You know, that's part of the reason the Democrats are totally wiped out. And, yeah, I used to travel the highways in this country 40-plus weeks a year, and I can promise you, we're not as different as we think we are. We're not. We're just not. And I said that on stage in Alabama, you know, because people were like, welcome to Alabama, it's different. I'm like, no, you're really not that different. You're not. I mean, yes, are there, generally speaking, maybe less progressives in certain areas? Certainly. Absolutely. Sure. You know, and admittedly, wow. Ugh. Admittedly, on the Progressive Comedy Tour, our ticket sales were lowest in Alabama. That's true. Not going to deny that. Now, the people that came were freaking awesome. We had a small but mighty bunch. And those progressives in Alabama, it was awesome to see them. So, yeah, are there places where numerically we might be a little smaller? Certainly. But, you know, across this country, we're not as different as we think we are. And, yeah, anyway, let's get back to this piece. So here's what you should know. The policy ideas are definitely bold, and you can make some substantive arguments against them. Can you? Can you? The policy ideas are policies that most other countries as developed... I take that back. All other countries as developed as ours, many with less wealth than ours, take for granted. They take them for granted. These are policies Canada takes for granted. France takes for granted. Italy takes for granted. England takes for granted. Germany takes for granted. Switzerland takes for granted. The Netherlands take for granted. That's what these policies are. What can you argue against them? What can you argue against? Oh, well, the health insurance industry, it's a sixth of our economy, so we need a baby step. We had our baby step. We had Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, which was basically, it was Romney Care. But we had our baby step. You had your baby step. It's time for single payer. Your baby step's over. The baby step has made things marginally better compared to the nothing that we had, while also exposing the flaws of the insurance industry. And by flaws, I mean corruptness. So it's time. You can't argue against it. You can't argue against single payer at this point, unless your argument is, I don't think healthcare is something people should have. In which case, you're a very demented, sick person. And hopefully your health insurance policy covers mental health because you frickin' need it. Okay. Anyway, getting back to this piece. So I don't see what you can really argue. But they aren't crazy. No, they're the opposite. They're policies most places in the world take for granted. Other industrialized nations take this for granted. By contrast, the ideas of Tea Party Republicans are crazy. Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, Medicare for all. All right. So he talks about... So basically the thesis of this is that, yeah, these progressive ideas are actually pretty reasonable, and these Tea Party ideas are absolutely insane. So when you compare progressives to the Tea Party, you're really doing a disservice, and it's really lame. And, yeah, that's why I hated the term alt-left. I really do not like the term alt-left. And I know some people use it in, like, a Yankee Doodle Dandy fashion, and that's cool. Like I'm fine with that. Like, I'm not against it, but I really don't like the term alt-left because you're comparing people that want universal health care and people that want basic progressive policies and want a Green New Deal. You're comparing those people to neo-Nazis. That's what you're doing. Because alt-left was framed by the establishment. The establishment framed the alt-left to compare it to the alt-right. So, yeah. And again, I know some people Yankee Doodle Dandied it, but still, I mean, it's just such a gross false equivalency. So anyway. All right. We got a couple more things here. We are almost out of time. This is from Edwin. Oh, wait, actually, you know what? I'm skipping ahead here. Marcus was first in line. All right. We'll do Marcus, and then we'll do Edwin, and then we are out of time. And I know I didn't get to everybody. I apologize. I went in order the best I could. Let's see here. Well, here, we'll do these two, and then we'll go to the chat to end it. Boom. Will Ben Jealous pull Maryland Democrats together or apart? The day after Ben Jealous won Maryland's Democratic nomination for governor, he appeared on a left-leaning MSNBC talk show and was asked the question, roiling establishment Democrats. Was he so liberal that he will help a Republican win? Break apart the Democratic Party? Jealous largely dodged the premise of the question. Go ahead, call me a socialist, he answered, bringing up his latest job. That doesn't change the fact that I'm a venture capitalist. Ooh, Ben Jealous said that. It also doesn't change the fact that Jealous's platform is further to the left than any other politician in Maryland's Democrats have ever nominated for governor. His progressive campaign delivered a decisive victory Tuesday over the establishment's candidate, emphasizing the rift between the Democrats' left flank and moderates. See, here's my question. What are the moderates hanging on to? What are the moderates, like, what is the policy that they think is better? That's my question that I've been asking since the primaries in 2016. What policy do you prefer? And you know how many answers I've got? None. None. The answer is but Trump. That's the answer. So it's like, well, what do you have? Well, guess what? We tried to beat Trump with centrism. It didn't work. It failed. And it has continued to fail. So, what's the argument here? Like, what is the argument here? This is MSNBC desperately trying to maintain the status quo because they're profiting from it. There's no platform over on the centrist, which, by the way, calling them centrist isn't fair. They're just conservatives in denial. That's what this wing of the party is. They're conservatives in denial, and that's what the Democratic establishment is. But policy-wise, like, what do they prefer? No one's ever been able to answer that for me. If anybody here identifies as a more centrist, whatever that even means today, give me one policy. Well, I'll mail you a free t-shirt. Give me one policy that you like better than a progressive platform. Give me one idea that you think would work better, that would help working people. Are you pro-fracking? Because guess what? That ain't helping anybody other than some corporations. Are you against living wages? How the hell does that help the worker? Healthcare? Do you want to see people not have it? Well, guess what? Paul Ryan's got the party for you. Give me one idea. One idea. So this is a dumb leading question. That's all this is. This is just a leading, fear-mongering, hyperbolized question. Was he so liberal he'll help a Republican win? He's offering something counter to his opponent, and he's what the party wants. I think that's a nonsensical straw man, and I think that we tried beating the right with centrism. Well, we didn't want to do it. We were forced into doing it. They tried beating Trump with nothing. You got to try to beat him with something. And again, the centrist wing. Give me one idea. I've been asking for 2 years. I have yet to have one. Even family members of mine, I got into a shouting match with my cousin. My cousin who worked on Hillary's campaign. Who's a great guy. A fantastic person. We just saw a couple things differently. Most things we see eye to eye on. But strategy, we saw things a little differently. And it got down to shouting matches. And I said, give me one policy you prefer over the Bernie Sanders platform. Give me one. He couldn't do it. He just said, well, we got to beat Trump and blah, blah, blah. Centrism is better. That's what he said. And you know what he said to me recently? He said, Ron, you were right this time. You were right about everything. I was wrong. And it wasn't an I good told you so moment. It really wasn't. But, all right, we are almost out of time. So, you know what? I'm going to end on that because, and Edwin, I'm sorry we didn't get to your article today, but please retweet it again on Thursday because tomorrow's the 4th. I'm not having a show because I'm going to be going out and about and enjoying my day off, you know. So let me see if anyone in the chat, I mean, maybe there's some, you know, let's see. I think you guys had some funny remarks. You guys are funny. Conservative in denial. You like it? Well, hey, welcome. Thank you, Marcelo. We've been saying that for a long time on this show. We also say cappuccino conservative, which we have that was coined by Marcus, who identifies as the cappuccino conservative on Twitter. We also have Starbucks conservative, conservatives in denial, and neoliberals, of course. Although for some people that term might be misleading, but we still use it. All right. A pony from Vermin Supreme. That's what the centrists offer. But we need the moderate Republicans that will really, totally, definitely switch to vote Democrat. Here's one talking point. We believe the right to access health care. I know in all my heart that all I can say is maybe. Moderates are for the status quo. Yep. Being bought is a personal choice. Yes, it is. How about stronger together? All right, so nobody... So, guys... Balthazar, thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution. Check out Streamlabs when you have a sec. I also tweeted you resources with Get Your News on Ron. Yes, you did, Balthazar, and thank you so much. I'm going to look into that. You guys know this show is still very new. This show is still... It's been a couple months. That's it. This show is still very new. We're still learning as we go. I'm upgrading equipment, and I'm upgrading resources. And I'm actually going to go out and buy a curtain today. So hopefully, if all goes as planned on Thursday, you're going to see a cool curtain behind me, and hopefully you're going to see my monitor too. And it won't be through OBS. I'll be able to show my screen, and I'll probably fumble about with it and be real shitty at it. How's that for an endorsement? Guys, I'm probably going to be... I struggle scrolling down a Twitter timeline. I'm probably going to be terrible at this. I'm probably going to accidentally terminate the stream at least a couple times. You'll probably hear me curse. Tune in! No, I'm going to figure it out. It's going to be great. And you're going to be able to see you're going to be able to see what I'm reading, so you'll be able to read along with me. We'll be able to skim the article together. If I miss something important, you guys will be there to call me out. And they'll be like, paragraph 3, idiot, read it. And I'll be like, you got it. It'll be great. So I'm going to figure that out. And Balthazar, thank you so much for your help. I appreciate it very much. Guys, we're pretty much out of time. This is it. Have a happy 4th of July. Get out there. Have a good time. And no episode tomorrow. We're not going to be live tomorrow because I think me and my girlfriend, we want to start our day off at the gym because we're probably going to stuff our faces with very unhealthy stuff for the rest of the day. So, anyway, I'll be back on Thursday and, of course, on Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Guys, this has been Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys tweet me an article or post it on our Reddit subsection, and that's how we build the show. I'm seeing all this news for the first time, responding to it in real time. It's like an improv news show with a fun community, figuring out what's going on in the world together. And by the way, I know I got to meet a lot of you in Portland, and I met a lot of you on the Progressive Comedy Tour as well. And thank you guys so much. A lot of you have been saying that you really like the concept that we got going here, and that you're really enjoying it. Thank you. That means a lot to me. And the thing about this concept, without you guys, it doesn't freaking work. This show would suck without you. It's just like you guys are the co-host. You guys are the producers and the co-hosts and the well, that's it. But that's a freaking lot. Like that's a lot. Like that's not a that's a lot. The producers and the co-hosts. That's you guys. That's not me. That's you. So without you, this show would blow. It wouldn't be Get Your News On with Ron. It would be like, Ron's live for some reason. That would be the show. That sounds dumb. Who wants that show? Nobody. But it's Get Your News On with Ron because you guys are here. So thank you so much for making this possible. If you want to support this show and help me upgrade, you know the drill. Patreon.com/Ron Placone. For a give what you can level, you get all kinds of perks, content, free show tickets, and you're going to get my album for free once it's out in November. My album's coming out in November. I'm stoked. We're going through the tapes now. Woot. I love you all very much. This is me, Get Your News On with Ron. We will be back on Thursday. Not going to be on for the 4th, But we'll be back on Thursday. I'll see you then. I love you all very much. Stay safe. Have fun. Peace.